Alright. Let's continue. What's happening now? Episode 3. The Adventures of the Runaway Room.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Yeah! Oh. 18th February, 9:21 a.m. British Supreme Court Lord Chief Justice Office. Oh, what an incredible place! It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. The cogs. What is this place again? This is Lord Chief Justice's office, Naru-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. Oh, but Kazuma-kan. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message to an envoy's duty is done. So we'd have to return to Japan. If you want to remain here in Great Britain. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Mm-hmm. Yes. Which means you need to requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Oh. I trust you ain't... I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naru. Don't be a mouse. It's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I am Ryunosuke Naruto from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruto, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes. Thank you. I don't know if that's the voice I should be doing, but that's where I'm going with it. Well, the first thing you always have to do is show my armband? Not my badge? Wait, what? What happened to... What's with this? What's this? I don't have a badge? I mean, let's have a look. I wasn't expecting... Oh. Kazuma Asogi. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside. Look! Kazuma Asogi. This was his band, of course. He had his heart set on this study tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. But he lost his life before he even had the chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at this armband, though. Kazuma Asogi. There are scales. These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of the defense, aren't they? Yes, that's right. The scales are a symbol of fairness, to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial band. But if they are the mark of the defense, it would be more auspicious if they were weighing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. Well, let's present it. Lord Strongheart, may I show you this? To accept this... Oh, I forgot how I did the voice. To accept this item... Oh no, I forgot how I did it. Examine it. How did I do that voice? I forgot. To accept this item, issue and receipt. Examine it thoroughly. and make a formal statement of my findings. Would require something in the region of 24 seconds of my time. Sorry? Does the item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruto? I forgot actually how I did the voice. Let's leave it for now. Then no. I'm already an idiot, just like forgetting how to do the voice. Holy crap. This place is crazy! Just look at all the naughty books packed together on those shelves, on these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. And they're all books that you couldn't help to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about the judicial system of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. The cogs? Yeah, I was gonna say, the cogs are... Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. But those gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are some sort of hobby of his? Lord Chief Justice, I mean. Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size. And I'm certain you couldn't call him a boy? Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs make, considering how large they are. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. These pillars are exquisite. Look at these menacing metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I thought maybe there were like lion dogs we have in Japan guarding the shrine gates. They were like the lion dogs. Okay. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know? And they roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there something you don't know, Mrs. Otto? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Where did she get that incredible tome? Same for this one. Cool. This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. It looks more like an over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again, Mr. Naru. It feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know, that's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Oh, the carpet? No. What do you say if there's something? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. The clock? No. I'm trying to think, how should I do the voice? It's It's me. It's me. Merle Strongheart. Merle Strongheart. That's what his voice would sound like, I think. The Lord Chief Justice wields absolute authority in judicial matters, including the appointment of lawyers. He's a thoroughly intimidating man, 52 years old. London. So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Help! I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naru? Oh? We had a wonderful view of some of London streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say, I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yes. Astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Cesaro-san. Oh my god. I choked on air for a second. Jesus. And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor. Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming Great Exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great Exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Shit. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. I don't know if that's the right voice for him. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for this study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. A Mr. Kazama Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man has lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored his disappointment specifically to inform you of the news? Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese are a people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of a young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. just got a notification. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madame?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naru here would like to make a proposal.
Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruto.
This is it then, the moment of truth. Continuing the study tour. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead?
Don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done.
Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean.
What? Oh, you want to get a beating, boy?
No.
Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. That was Mr. Asogi. At least, that is what I've been led to understand.
Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naru! I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? That's why saving the game immediately. Do not spoil this Ryu. Zion. If there is someone else... If there is someone else here in Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... Actually, there is no one. It's only been 40 days since Kazuma died. And 40 days? Dang. And yes, I've studied as hard as I possibly could, but can I really stand before this terrifying man and claim that I can do the job? Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Of course only one lawyer. But I'm not sure if I can stand before this terrifying woman and claim that I can't. I'll end up upside down on the floor if I do that. Not that I'm scared of Cesato's takedown, obviously, but still, perhaps I should change my answer. It's me. I can do it. No. I want to. No. It's Miss Susato. It can probably be. Yes, Miss Susato.
Oh?
What?
An unusual introduction. But I presume you mean this charming young lady beside you. You're a lawyer, are you?
That look she's giving me. After all the days of hard work she put in to help me study. I can't let her down now. I think that's quite enough joking, don't you? Don't you, Lord Strongheart? My real answer is, it's me. I can do it.
Is that so?
I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but...
No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer?
I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, as it happens. And I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about the British law and court proceedings while I was on the board, the SS Burya.
The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training.
I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I just can't go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Soki's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please.
31 seconds.
Sorry?
Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruto. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer.
Oh, thanks.
So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Huh?
But let me ask you this one thing first, sir.
Yes? If I keep doing his voice, I'm gonna lose my voice, I feel like.
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Sogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yes. That's my intention.
I see.
Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden?
Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really?
A test you cannot say.
Fuck! Shit! No! I want to test! I want to save! Come on now! So, what form will the test take exactly?
Tell me, Mr. Naru, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
Huh?
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet. So this will be a welcome news.
Today? Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler?
Ugh, how did I get myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart?
Yes, good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder trial.
A murder? Oh, I got goosebumps there.
A extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
That's easy to say.
But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to
capital punishment?
capital
punishment? He'll be put to death? I'm getting even more goosebumps, what the hell?
Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably, you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life.
I am Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable.
But you can't do that, can you?
There is no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose.
So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged.
Oh God! Mr. Naruto, you come to me claiming to be a lawyer. Ugh. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intended to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asoki. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I will do it. Alright then, if I have to give you a decision now, my answer is I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds. Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. So it's as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over.
That pose is a little interesting. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naru. I'm sorry, Miss Cisato, but what could I do? It's alright. I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, but resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam?
I think what Miss Cisato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait.
Oh, he did say wait.
Wait, Mr. Naruto.
Oh, was there something else?
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time.
But I just said that.
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him.
What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. he will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
But that's awful.
But that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
I'm really only his hope? I'm really his only hope?
So, what do you say now, madame?
What do you mean, Mr. Lewis Strongheart?
Whew. You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. And I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
He's gone.
The Old Bailey.
If we're going to do this, Mr. Naru, we must leave at once.
But first we save. And second, I should show you my armband. I need to show you my evidence. Mrs. Otto, can I just ask you for something?
Careful! From this position, I can perform a Cesaro takedown in an instant.
I know.
Mr. Naruto, you heard Lower Strongheart. The trial starts imminently. If I need to throw you, I will.
You know, you could just say, I think we should hurry to the courtroom.
If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. What to do? Mrs. Otto, can I just ask you something?
Careful! From this position.
Oh. Let's see what happens. Mrs. Otto, can I just ask you something? Oh. Game over. You were so dumb, looking around everything, wasting time. Why are you the worst player in the world?
The Old Bailey. The opposite hair. It's really quite stifling.
The office. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past, the Old Bailey. This is where I'm to take my test and prove my worthiness as a lawyer.
If we hurry and catch a cab, we might just make it to the courtroom on time.
February 9:45 a.m. The Old Bailey defendants antechambers.
Oh, thank goodness, we're on time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins.
I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver. And there's a guinea in it for you. Guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines in the Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly.
I'm not sure why you're so pleased, and I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege.
Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started.
Yes,
I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait is is grand. Are you alright, Miss Snow? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're about to defend. Yes, whoever the man you are to defend this is, I imagine, he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. Oh. What are you doing following me here? Things are a fair desperate, are they? Sorry? Would you look at those expressionless faces from the east I use? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do you need? How much do you need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, none to eat, barely a penny to your name, and old white in a strange faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. Tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas, said Nottingham. Ha! 1,000 guineas? Please, Mrs. Otto, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? She's nothing to me at all. I like to ensure that I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I've enough wealth to buy the City of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Hear me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it no strings attached. I'll be waiting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. The trial's about to begin, you see. For me, good self here, I'll be in the dock. Oh. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is... Don't worry about the thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, no more. Otherwise, you see... the trial is going to start... I don't know how to keep up with the accent. The trial is going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it is true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to I need a water. I need a drink. G Fuel. My brain is dying. Wait, sip. Alright. Wow. I am not there today, apparently. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask this. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Blastering blazes, do you not know who I am? What? You know who I am? Me? One of the London's biggest names?
No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see.
I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, in the centre of London is another beautiful park.
Sorry, a park? What?
It's called Mickled Park, full of blossoming flowers in the springs and singing birds and whatnot.
I don't know what to do with these boys.
I donated to the city, so I did. An entire park in central London? A city of smiles. That is my vision for London. There's nothing a Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city, and it's quite... and it's queer, old people.
That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary.
But... now they're all gone to say I'm good for no criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask you?
Alright, don't pass out.
Mr. Naru, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath.
Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourselves in their hands...
What was I saying?
What? So if you... We'll do our best. What was I after saying, you daft Egypt?
What was I after saying, you daft Egypt? I was giving you 1,000 units to stand up there next to me, haven't I?
Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering just to stand up there next to you.
Oh, I think I see what's going on here.
Sorry?
I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor of Hela claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did. That's the only explanation. Well?
Well... Not at all, but... Actually, yeah, but... Yes, exactly.
What now?
Well, like you said, if you have all that money but you don't have anyone to represent you in court, then there's no other logical conclusion than you're guilty of the charges.
Oh no! Oh shit! What the fuck did you just do? Well, you call a spade in the East, so you do.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any offense. I still can't express myself very well in English, you see. And I'm never sure what's acceptable to say and what isn't, so...
Is that so? Because you sounded fluent enough when you were telling me what a blackguard I must be.
I'm terribly sorry. Okay.
I can't say that I blame you for thinking it, fella.
It is a little strange, to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean?
It would be the photo of the Reaper.
Sorry? Did he just say Reaper?
Aye, the Grim Reaper of the ballet. Lord Barak van Zieks, he's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused the sacrificial lambs.
Whew, I need to take a deep breath, I feel like.
And to this day, in every single trial in which he has been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned.
What?
So it's reached a desperate situation where there is no one willing to stand in defense against the fellow. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness. Lord Barack Van Zeeks. Zeeks? Zikes? Zeeks? I'm saying Zeeks. Zikes? Zeeks. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented is the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed.
Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
His counsel? That would be me. Oh, this time! Oh, dear fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I'd made up my mind so ahead. Sorry? I decided I had to defend myself in here. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance as son of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can show you that. 'Tis fate. So don't get the code of it now, please. Huh? I literally know nothing about the case or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Oh! Mr. Naru! The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Kazuma would never have allowed to happen.
Castle to defense, what are you doing? If you're led to the start of the trial, you lose your right to stand.
I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in the British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. To be continued.
Fires the 18th of February, 2000.
Oh, 2000? What the fuck?
10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom.
2000? I was gonna say 2000. Rubble. So this is the highest court in Great Britain. The Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? So different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naru? Oh, yes. What? Oh no, his eyes are all over. Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. Ugh, I know, but I just can't help it. Oh, the Reaper, vampire.
Oh, it's Merry Christmas. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I can now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare the willingness to proceed.
Oh God. He looked like Santa Claus. Huh. How? The prosecution. Oh no, what do you do for that one? Yeah, I don't know. The prosecution. No.
The prosecution is fully prepared. The prosecution is fully prepared.
That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yeah, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me.
Nippons. Nippon-ness? Nippons? Nippon... I don't know, what the frick...
They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
Ugh, cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Ho 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 ho! He's on the good boy list, despite him being a reaper. Now, Mr. McGilded.
Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a granting to give the opportunities to the young. Even if the fellow is a student from some little island off in the Far East. It is not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I can't do the accent well. I like to think that acts of chivalry did the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. Gilded! What a fine gentleman in London! Did you hear that he donated 5,000 pounds to the government? Mother, please! Make me go play Mr. Gilbert and Mr. Gilded Park. What the hell? That was fun. It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. Gilded. The fine gentleman. That's definitely welcome news. And he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Oh ho ho ho! Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded. In most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your partiality. Are you ready to proceed? These people are not in the naughty list. They're not in the naughty list.
I don't know. Yes, my lord. I don't know. I'm just gonna do the regular voice. I can't do it. I can't have like 20 different voices for people. Oh god. Yes, my lord, if the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I am more than ready. At the manor, his lordship has always... I can't read! His lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. If I feel a chill... Oh, don't mind me, my dears. Let me get on with my managing. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Ah, Mr. Naru, those people are... The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right, I've read about it. By here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes the sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from two completely different points of view. But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it'll become clear as the trial progresses. Yes.
Oh ho ho! Prosecutor Van Zieks, I don't know how to say your name. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you renounced your fame. No, I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey. I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say.
It sounds like the other guy, though. Like, he's 32. I'm known as... I'm known. Nah. Like, he looks like he would have a deep voice.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I've last spread my wings in this capacity. So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware? I leave that to your imagination, my lord.
So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naru.
As your wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please. Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as thrice fired mason.
Sorry? Thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Oh.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time.
Oh wait, that was the wrong voice. Wait.
A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
A report prepared by Scotland Yard coroner. It gives the cause of death as internal... Oh my god. Hemorrhage? Okay. As a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. The photograph of the scene of the crime. A photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus. The knife is in the abdomen. Oh my god, I can't even read today. The knife is in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partially obscured from the view by an old crooked hat.
And one further item of evidence.
Oh, wait, there's something on his neck? Okay. Fried's face Mason, brickmaker. 10 to 11 p.m. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying through an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from trauma? Okay.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well. And these are... Good lord! Is that blood, Kentel? Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. And those gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGilt's gloves had blood on them?
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
The defendant's leather gloves have been entered into the court. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident. There is a blood stain on the right glove. How did I get into this? Can we inspect this? That's a bit creepy. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No, by the way, is Mr. McGilda's right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with the coin in his right hand a little earlier. Huh. Pity. If he only had been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would fairly be fairly incriminating, really. Nothing else, eh? It's just like the stitching. Okay, so it's just straightforward. How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I even started.
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course. I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded! To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I am in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, as I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of a carriage, my lord. Lilting so it is, and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid my eyes on before. My God, I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask is, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I think I can't ask somebody. I wasn't about to start worrying about me glares now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. Okay. So the blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Shit! Type me fast!
Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the cage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once.
Oh my god, he's freezing! What's happening to his hat?
Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is...
My name is... Well, everyone calls me Boppo. I drive the omnibus in the West End.
Breathe fair play.
I'm banker in the city. My name is First. Lady First. First Lady First. I like that. My name is First Lady First. I make hats for gents. What's happening to his hat?
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well then, let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Witness testimony. What the witnesses saw.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other, inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife into his guts.
He's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. I did. I couldn't help it. I can't keep this hat on. Come on, no, please. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Wait, what? You can't.
Unambiguous testimony, I say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
Nope.
Not the driver.
I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, counsel?
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses have possibly seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriages.
Bling! The hat!
How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our home. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nipponese friend.
Nipponese friend?
My Nipponese friend. I think that's how you say it. Have you ever even traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I arranged us. Jesus Christ, I am dying inside but not being able to read. Alright. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved. After all, presumably you understand that much.
Yes.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff! Bring forth the stricken omnibus.
That's a big bus. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus! I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Four passengers seated inside in the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop of the deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city, its architecture and sights are to be had from the top of the omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guest that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
Ah, skylight. Oh!
The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place.
Oh.
That is how they came to witness the grim incidents. Through the skylight.
That makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Oh, my wig! My wig! My wig! Okay, yes, very well. I see no reason why not. You never saw that. Any of you saw that, it will be on the naughty list in Christmas.
I just rewatched it. Oh no. Okay.
The omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
The omnibus has been entered into the court record. The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the rooftop deck. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a big bus. Dun, 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 dun. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of the murder. It's horrible. Oh. Shit. Dude, that is creepy staying in here. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition.
Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event.
Okay. The seats here. This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for 2 gentlemen to sit side by side, really.
Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up onto the rooftop deck, so she would have to be seated in here.
A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Dude, there is a lot to look around. Notice. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition, dude. Oh, okay. If it's in the abdomen, why is it on the seat? That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victim's obviously.
Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck.
Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder?
Well, if it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight.
Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. That takes us out. That's... okay. The lamp. It's just one lamp. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it?
Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck.
And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from the inside the cabin at least. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. Oh, what the hell? Phoenix Wright Omnibus. That is a cool Easter egg. That's sick. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. I like that. Anything underneath? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh,
you must have a wonderful view of London streets from here.
So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them? And they have to pay money to do so?
Oh, I can't imagine how cold it must feel.
That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment?
Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late.
And this is a seat, but no talks of that. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure.
Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, so I'm sure the witness would have been able to see quite clearly.
That's not good for us. And then the back seat.
So this is the roof deck of the omnibus.
Oh, you must
have a wonderful view of London streets.
Okay. What does it say on the seats? London's head office. Let's see what's the other one on the back row saying, but I just want to see, can I get no, not the signs. Phoenix Wright bus.
Who the hell is Phoenix Wright?
Nothing out of the ordinary, from what I can tell. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence.
Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as if it's here. Oh, well, I did do that, didn't I? Didn't I do that? Nothing on the wheels. The silence is deafening. London 5th Avenue. Nothing suspicious on the seats. Dude, there is a lot to look at. So you could actually like easily miss something. Okay, maybe underneath the seat. Oh, there is a handle on this. This seat has a handle, it seems. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running.
Feeding tubs, tools, repaired wheels, blankets, horseshoe tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems.
There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure.
Well, I don't imagine it'll be very convenient for that purpose anyway.
Same thing. Okay, let's... Is there a handle here? No. Okay, I don't like how it's this silent. Nothing else that's out of the ordinary for me. Like... There's so much to look. It's not, huh. Oh, so the seat goes back down when you exit. Okay. Nothing out of the ordinary that I see. There's no other button. Like nothing underneath. I did enough thorough investigating, it feels like. Okay.
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponess stray to understand the intricacies of a British court cross-examination. Examination rights.
Ooh. That's what I need to do. Take a deep breath. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryu. Focus. Cross-examination. That's cool. What would the witness saw? Dang, we got a lot to uncover. Holy crap. I'm gonna take a sip. I need to take a sip of more G Fuel. Not sponsored. Not sponsored. My brain is tired. I'm not doing well reading. Alright, focus! Focus! What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. I was gonna... Hold it! There we go. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, was it? Oh yes, sir. That's right. Yes. So yes, ever so cold it was freezing, in fact. Oh yeah, we have to... And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not at all traveling in... sorry. Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course. No.
Excuse me!
If I may, Mr. Fairplay, what are you forsaking for now? That last statement appears to have given you pause for thought.
Not really.
By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side one way or another. Do you have some affliction?
Not really.
He's not really willing to say anything, it seems.
It's none of your business anyhow.
Oh, okay. Alright. So you can just like check on everyone.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was... Yes, sir. Yes, it was a call for freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board. Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus. Of course, though no.
And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. Not one alighted, for example.
Yes, that's right. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No one. Pursue a look around. So nobody fled the scene of the crime then. I have to say the boss insists on it running. He does every evening. That last bus of the day. Oh my god. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes. Sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage. That's right, when you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. Whoop! There was a lamp on inside, so I had a plenty good view. Oh, that's creepy. There were 2 of them wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. That's not what he was wearing, was he? Maybe it is. I can't remember. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else.
Let's not forget when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There is no room for doubt there.
Ugh, I really wish there was. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged the knife into its guts. You can't reach over... Wait, huh?
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened. Didn't I already testify to that? Or, fair dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Wait, what? Did I say what I said? Wait. Yeah. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that's... My lord!
Juror number 3? What's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. Huh? What? There is no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. Hold it. That is precisely what I was about to say. What? As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. Huh? What is happening here?
I don't know. Oh, look at the book. Let me see. Yes, it seems that that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case. One by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side...
Oh wait, so if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean...
Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
Ha! This is a nightmare. We didn't finish.
Hold it!
Okay. That's no good. Got everybody's back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if you don't mind. Why don't you ask the young man next to me? Oh, me? Oh, well, yes. That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. I did. Couldn't help it. He stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about it, a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out of it was sticking right out from his belly. That huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Ah, that didn't help me at all.
Clean the floor.
The jury looks like they're even more convinced that my client did it than they were before.
That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGildy is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Oh, yes, sir.
Is this the knife you saw? Wait, is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. That's the very one, sir. Is that...
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart.
That is the blade of considerable size, counsel.
It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Ugh, please, no.
M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilden, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
Objection. This blade is far too extravagant. Objection. This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder is almost certainly belongs to the accused. Ugh, objection. I'm trying to match it.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
The murder weapon has been in a large-ish knife that was found lodged into the victim's abdomen. Its quality and fancy ornamentation suggests it must be quite valuable.
My lord!
If you'll forgive oh my god, my lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, oh my god, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish! No! We lost! Where's the... Oh. That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naru? Oh, sorry, yes, I just don't really like blades.
Oh, those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist.
That's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense of delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. And the M. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Miss Magus McGilda's initial.
And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think.
What is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yeah, Willy Wonka. Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all, but I am sure of is that. Wait, what I'm sure of but what I am sure of is that this is an M.
Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. I can't read today. What is wrong with me? Maybe it was a bad idea to stream while I'm tired. Reading while my brain is a bit dead a little bit. That looks a lot like blood.
It surely is blood, the victim's.
An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Nothing different? I mean, that's sort of just it? Nothing else in here? I mean, that's just the blood. Right? Just the blood. Boom. Boom. Okay. No. I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. Hold it. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Okay. It's 2 left. No, 1 left. The old granny. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict.
There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press the witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. As soon as I heard the scream, I saw... Alright, let's... I think he was interrupted mid-point as well. So I'm gonna probably go through him again, just to make sure.
Hold it!
Alright. He stabbed him, you say? Yes. Okay. It was singing from the melee. It was grim sight indeed. Ah, that didn't help me at all. The members of the jury are as shocked as they were the first time. If this wasn't a court of law, I would have
Felt compelled to use a Zada takedown for that lapse in judgment.
No, I'll be more careful.
As we have heard, the witness had an unfettered view of events unfolding. Would you not concur, Coachman? Would you not concur, Coachman? Your dithering suggests that you would.
Oh, yes, sir. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus and then I saw it too. What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. What? By the passenger, obviously you were referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. He was on the floor, and then the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this. Collapsed on the floor. By the other passenger, obviously you were referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilden. And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too, as the master of the London Guild of the Coachmen, the idea of murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me? I wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all of the facts, though I said it to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind a little longer. Gene up now, Silver Blaze. The finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. Ugh, this is too unkind, sir.
Which now means the 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madame Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witness in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have.
Still got my hearing, you know.
Then pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your lenient?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit. Me? I always go to the park around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. there's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. Hey! The gentleman donated it to the city to put a smile on Londoners' face, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He is always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely? Mother, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books? How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of a man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Stone the crows.
McGilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madame. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? Ting. What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, a considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Mr. McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment day for his debts.
Good gracious, my wig is tilted. Don't look at that.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had nothing. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. Okay. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly.
Mrs. Otto?
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Right here. What? Is that a bottle that... Did that bottle appear? Yeah. It's blood. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filing my hallowed chalice in the court of law.
Aha! There it is! Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah! As judicial assistant to the defense, I'm simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh.
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence.
The debtor's lodge had been entered into the court record, a catalogue of people who had borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim who earned 20 guineas.
Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
Nothing out of the ordinary. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, right? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you we will not find Mr. Shum's name inside.
Well, let's see what we find. I can't read that. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Oh, oops. Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is as well off.
Ah, goodness!
What is it?
Look at this! Do you see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay. Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually. Oh, Bruce
Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information.
Okay, okay. Gosh, it's crammed. Okay, yep. This one, same. And that's it. The victim owed a considerable sum, and the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park too. What a scandal. Oh, we lost. Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's think about this for a little more. But I don't stand for nonsense.
And we lost. That was it. The last juror's decision.
Game over. You lost. According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That is what it says here.
Ha, the final verdict. It's over then.
Oh. There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense.
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respects to you for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial. By delivering my final verdict, I trust there are no objections?
No. Mrs. Otto, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. A footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense, what did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment. Why'd you close the book? When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and the sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation of examination of the jurors at this point.
Right. A summation examination. Objection. A summation examination? From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected?
Ah!
Judging from the building, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
Oh,
Oh no, let's leave. What even is it, Mrs. Otto? This so-called summation examination?
oh, one moment, and I'll read about it. Back to the page!
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Huh. Typical Nipponness.
Alright, Mr. Naru. I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure we would be able to appeal to the members in this jury.
To do what exactly?
Appeal to them to change their pleading and reverse their decision, and it says here that if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision, but that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Huh. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct.
Ugh.
What do you think, Mr. Naru?
A summation examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? Yeah, well, duh? I kind of want to see what happens if you admit defeat, just to see what happens.
Forget it.
Mr. Naru, are you sure that's the right decision?
You heard what the judge and prosecutor said. It's an antiquated procedure. It's history. We barely know our way around the law that's in use today. What hope do we have pulling it off?
Fine. Perhaps what we don't know can work to our advantage.
Sorry?
In any case, there's really only one course of action available to us then. What we can't afford is allow this trial to end.
What we don't know can work to our advantage? You're right, Mrs. Otto. Let's bring this antiquated... Okay. I'll just pick the no. I thought I would get like a bad ending or something like that, but alright. Is that alright? The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very high demands of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried. Objection! But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
Oh ho ho! The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, Are you and the remainder of the jury ready?
Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so...
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
It don't really hold with all this justifying lark. That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGilder guilty of this most serious crime.
Judicial findings? Is it? The jurors' contentions. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Yeah. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory. It seems 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. Okay. He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Excuse me? So it's 5 people. Does it show the price here? 418 Omnibus Jobmaster. It doesn't show the price of this. You can trust the guild. The fares is our motto. We haven't raised the price above 4 pence for years. The scandal stabbing that poor man in the foot, it beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their mind. I have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naru. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to hear anything the defense says.
But then...
They've reached their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become.
Then what on earth am I supposed to do?
Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about in British law, Mr. Naru.
Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments.
What do you mean?
While 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public, they may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves in the courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says and see if we can identify a contradictory statement. If we can contrast the statement and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what two or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to the regular cross-examination.
Oh, yes, I suppose you're right.
Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. Then game over. I'm not doing this. What the hell, bro? I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord. Jury examination. Oh, this is cool. The defense's rebuttal. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilded were alone in the carriage. Precisely my point. But could there be some other explanation, something we haven't considered yet, such as? Well, perhaps that's something we could all work together now. Now listen here, maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign clime. Is that what I read? But we're here to form our opinions as individuals, and I have. Ugh.
Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he?
No, I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like Zada-san said. Finding contradictions in these six people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed. I trust the driver, he has excellent memory. It seems 4 passengers with fares totally GPS. But does his ability to recall his takings that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is? I managed all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts. I see. A single penny can mean the difference between life and death, after all, can't it? That's a saying in your country? Point is, a man who minds his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir. Does that bench really need any more polishing? So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGilded in the act, I don't doubt him. The only task left to do today is disposing of the rubbish. Ah, now wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think. Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the juror's statements again, Mr. Naru. If you notice an inconsistency in what 2 different jurors are saying, I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes, let's see if I can just do that. I want to go through... He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. I want to still go through each person. Careful, you could hurt somebody with that. You're a fine one to talk. What of that sword hanging from your waist? No, that's just my battered soul. Well, anyway, I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same. All stabbing some brickmaker or other behind the scenes. You mark my words. That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? We know that Small Shortly is a rotten Shylock. Well, yes. That does seem to be the case, but... Mr. Naru,
Please, be careful what you say.
if he's been trying to squeeze money out of us less fortunate, then as far as I'm concerned, he's guilty as a sin. The man can hang. You can do it! You can do it! Don't give up. Okay, fine. Come to think of it, didn't one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhand activities? Wait, what? I wasn't paying attention that much, to be honest. Well, yes, it doesn't seem the case, but you know, if he's been trying to squeeze money out of. If you thought of something like this, don't let it go to it. Test your theory. To it just yes, I know. Okay, triangle. I simply typed and collated all these statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. What have you been doing all this time? What have you been doing all this time? There. I should have thought it was obvious. I am recording everything that takes place as part of these proceedings. And what have you learned from that? For example, at this moment in time, the judge has used his gavel 11 times in total. The prosecution has snorted divisively at your remarks 7 times in total. And I might add, each time you have gawped like a simpleton. Thank you. What's the point exactly? His sleeve. So anyway, madam, are you able to explain why you think the defendant is guilty? That is a conclusion I have drawn as a result of the copious notes I have typed. Clearly, but I'm asking you to explain why you've drawn that conclusion. Please don't distract me. It makes extremely hard to concentrate on my note keeping. This is going nowhere. You can trust the guild. Fares with Example. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. So obviously it's going to be, like I said, it's prices, but press. That's how much it costs to take the omnibus? That's right. As the guildmaster, I decided to set a policy for all drivers across the city. One fare no matter which bus you take or how far you're going. We have to compete with the rise of the motor car, you see? Us coachmen have to make a stand together. Motor cars, you say? Yes, and this murder on one of our buses is extremely damaging to our cause. It's beyond the pale. It'll lead to a decline in passengers, you remark my words. And it's all that rascal's fault. He has to pay. Is it the crime or his buses he's more worried about? Anyway, every member of my guild is reliable and trustworthy. So if the driver says he saw him do it, that fella in the dock is as guilty as sin. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief. On the floor? Wait. Okay. I really think you should stop waving that needle around. You heard what the good coachman said before, didn't you? That hideous man stabbed the poor fellow just like this. Yes, that is what he said, you're right. That's not... Okay, so it's the guy with the knife and her then. The Gilded Park is such a lovely little place too. I've always enjoyed resting my legs there while I get on with my knitting. And I had thought that anyone who donated such a delightful place must be a fine fellow indeed. I suppose I was wrong. Whoever would have thought he was a miserable murdering moneylender with not a scrap of remorse? Oh hell, she as sure can be that he's guilty now. The old lady certainly seems to know her mind, doesn't she? So, we just need to find 2 jurors with contradictory statements and pit them against each other. Which is so much easier said than done.
Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, I took the liberty of doing some research in case you happen to find yourself in such a situation. Shall I read you what I found out? It's a little long.
Not right now. If I have to rely on the advice from the start, how will I get on later? No, I need to work this out for myself now.
Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, that sort of attitude is most admirable, Mr. Naru.
I know what I have to do. Listen to those assertions one more time. So what happens if you say yes? Alright, let's save. Let's make 2 saves. This one and the new one. Let's pit you and wait. So let's see. You can trust the guild. Fair pence is promoted. 4 pence for years.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
They do? Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze Main and Main, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I have those precise those precise details neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man? Why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication,
it would be 16 pence.
Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible. There was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious!
This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Ugh! Alright then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end, Well, according to my book here,
you simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Oh, shit. This is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. Boop. 2 to 4 out of 6. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naru, you did it! If we can manage to change the two more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue.
2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
Then that's where you must strike next.
So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions.
Exactly. You can do it.
Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they're still way heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Okay. Nice. It has to be... that, and then... hit you, and... you.
Objection!
Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel, post haste.
Oh dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they all allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can't you see that I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ah, want to test me, do you? Just like this. Struck the fella next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that's what Mr. Fairplay's testimony quite true.
Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now, don't move! Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Bless my stitches. What a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh, but why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. My dog is snoring. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh dearie me. Bam! I can abide people telling lies. Bam! It's even! The scales. I don't believe it. Hold it. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some TV sorcerer using his magic on us. All. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Now answer me this, Dark Jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he once sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again, and this lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why I should take this needle to you? Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime? It's out of the question? One, it's out of the question? Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something we can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence, as you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that these two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by... the blood on the seat or the picture?
Take that!
Is that the clear piece of evidence? Well, Mr. Foreman, you know what they say about me, old man. They say I've got no powers of persuasion. Oh, I see. I'm sorry to hear that. But no one will need help. Okay. I'm gonna reload, but it has to be the bus.
Take that!
No? Wait. Oh, single stab wound to the abdomen. Oh my god, I'm dumb. You can't stab him twice. Duh. Oops. I brain farted. Okay, it's out of the question. Because of the autopsy report. I was looking at it differently. You can't, the blood on the seat. But the autopsy report just says it. Single stab wound. Oopsies. Autopsy report. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once. Eh? Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means the witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. Yeah. Alright, I concede defeat. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning toward not guilty.
We've done it, Mr. Naru. We've won!
What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Shut up. You shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, Oh, I'll take... Jesus! I'll take this razor sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please.
All right. Okay! Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. Woo! It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive this discourtesy.
Lord Van Zeeks!
Is it cold in here or is it just me? As your antiquated tone no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination, so I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No. And why else would we grace the Corbin with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Oh shit! Bring forth the witnesses once more. Witnesses! I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure? Oh, yes, that I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir, I heard it.
You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's Beppo?
Yes, sir, my lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous testimony you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on the omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to...
Oh, you are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, miodo.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. And my dog sneezed. Bless you! You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Uh-oh. Various misgivings. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it. Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence on the bus. He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw Mr. McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. I need to let my dog out. Give me one sec. Oh, yes, he stabbed him. He did. I think so, yes. I think so.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's slight little conzenage.
Ah,
Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Gamma Master.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board, you know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently.
No, that figures.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel, for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had that pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Absolutely. Various misgivings.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear by it, but
So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right?
It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold, it was all I could do myself passing out.
I'm getting chilblains just listening to you. It was terrible. So I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? Per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night, then we would have had another suspect. Well, I for one was... I think it's the last statement. I for one was told to pay 5 pence on the bus. Does that mean everyone on the board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the Phantom Killer, you're desperately needed it's gone, dead and buried. I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murderer, I presume? The murderer, I presume. Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man in the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Good gracious, really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. Force didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That might turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath. See, that's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw the horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Go back to the last. Okay. I tell you, I saw Miss McGilda stabbing that man.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant McGilda, Mr. McGilda stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, that was. Just for a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet 0 evidence. Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Oh yes, he stabbed yes, I think so.
Hold
yes. Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then I turned around. Yes, I saw it around the skylight. The gentleman on the floor, and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes. And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man. Yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought I did, but when I go over again in my head, no. I suppose I didn't actually see the precise. That's a bit visible, isn't it? Calm down, bud. In fact, I know I have to go to him. I come to think of it, it must have already happened when the scream. Ah, of course. Well, what? It must have already happened when I heard the scream. The autopsy report makes it quite clear that the victim was stabbed only once, which means the banker was witness to the fatal wound that ended Mr. Mason's life. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow we managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to bring some new facts to light.
If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before.
Maybe, but can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information.
Yes, you're so right.
I need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction among the witnesses.
Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to presume as to the reason.
Okay. Last one. Next. Pursue.
Hold it!
Pursue, continue. What's this? Continue. Growth! Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? What was his full name? Something Fairplay. Bruce Fairplay. Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance? Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on top of the omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw.
Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked? Ahem, well, perhaps soaked is laying on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, just through the skylight? Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a plenty good view. And there was a lamp in the inside of the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure of what I saw. This Pinker's latest statement. I feel assured there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Naruto,
that's when you should give a good look through the court record.
Okay. Yes, we know. The last statement. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands? But there wasn't really blood-soaked hands. Am I being tricked? I feel like I'm being tricked for some reason. I don't know why. My brain is not there today, I feel like. Let me go through. Blood-soaked, well, perhaps, but anyway, that was definitely. Blood-soaked hands. Wouldn't the knife grip itself be blood-soaked?
Objection!
No. No. Because that's sort of my point. Like, if you have blood-soaked hands, then there would be blood on the knife.
Objection!
Yeah. Blood-soaked hands? Oh yeah, gloves. He was wearing gloves. Well, I admit that soaked might be a little laying it's on a little thick, but he was wearing gloves. But anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, fair play, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the right night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain here. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Yummy. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But no, this can't be right. So you're the liar here then. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said here, it was both hands. He loves chewing on that stick. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth? No. Objection. It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
Objection. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naru, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn this tide of this trial completely.
Something to show that this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. Do we even really have evidence? The knife. It would have to be the knife. Wait. I don't know now. Oh, because of his debt. He's in debt. My lord. Yes, counsel. The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove! Are you sure?
Yes, the evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had a reason to lie in his testimony. He's owing debt.
Very well. I hereby call the defense to present its evidence. The defense that demonstrates a motive for the witness' alleged deception to the court.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused exhaustion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What?
Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
Ugh, no, well, it's barely worth being called debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas, with not an inconsiderable inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Ugh. Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilder were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. Ugh.
Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
Yes, my lord.
Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir.
Ugh.
Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right, let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth in a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing a blood on Mr. McGilder's head. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
Alright, I'm gonna quickly, because someone needs a little bit of help, so I'll be back for like literally 1 minute. Be right back. Alright, back.
Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself. As it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir. On the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I am almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all your witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Yes.
Mr. Naru, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Witness testimony. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment of the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't really see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen.
Well, lo and behold, in truth or fact, not one of you was witnesses to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what the testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember. Oh, no! The evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. Well, I'm aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on his both hands. He's defiant even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why?
Your reasoning is dire.
One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused fingers. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment of the stabbing transpired, if that matters. Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is the matter of fundamental importance, as you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly done it. I was just trying to save us all the time. You have a loan of 20 guineas astounding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from the financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse on the derby. That's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend. That's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
Nope. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
The witnesses' scruple are not on trial here.
Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. You definitely saw that too, blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilda's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilda sitting beside the other... Okay, never mind. I don't believe he was wearing any gloves. Wait, what? He wasn't wearing these gloves. That's correct, sir. And I saw blood on both of his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there were no traces of blood in Mr. McGilda's gloved hands.
There wasn't blood on his hands?
This is puzzling indeed.
This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. I didn't see anything myself until I heard it scream. You didn't see anything? Oh yes, sir, that is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes, it was very wrong of me to make up stories to say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was cold that night. You see, it was all I could do is keep from passing out. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights.
Beppo! Oh! Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside the carriage, or we all would have seen it. And everything you saw of the incident through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus? That's right, it was fiercely cold last night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember that shivering. I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I didn't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured to me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with some absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed.
Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylights? Ooh. I don't know. They might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, is there a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you? What? Golly, by golly, really? Obviously, at this stage we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied. At the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here in the flesh.
Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demand. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been seated?
Oh. Well, here. Right? Oh, I'm making a new save, but... I'd say here.
Take that!
Here, my lord, in this location, an extra passenger could have been completely hidden from the view. If you believe that to be true, counsel, then I suggest you attempt to conceal yourself in there. Sorry? And here's to you never seeing the light of day again. Ugh. Whatever's the hollow chalice, it was very bitter aftertaste. Well, we know about the chairlift. Or is it the other way around? Do I have it the other way around? Wait, which way was it? The handle is on the right. Oh, so I had the right thought, but on the wrong side. Whoops. Here.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the floor face in the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight is as I've drawn here. Oh! So I did have it the wrong way around. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from the view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ah!
Objection!
It's quite possible. Some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. Ambiguity? Yeah.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. You cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger who you allude.
Can we, Mr. Naru?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat which was out of sight from the... I may have an inkling? It would be Magus. Magus? No, it would be the killer. It would be the killer, because then he can hide back into the cabin. Well, we don't know where McGilded sat, to be honest. I have an inkling. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned.
Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger on the other seat.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin was obscured to view, and he was asleep.
Take that!
The passenger in the closed cabin that the witness on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
McGilded?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh my god. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zieks!
People talk of these tiny island nations in the far...
Oh god, I almost puked a little. What the hell?
People talk of these tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
What are you trying to say?
Let me explain that in terms that even a student of an artless backwater, such as yourself, might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact it's the very premise on which the case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that the blood was on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
Yep.
And who was this third party?
Obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary! Order! You're gonna be on the naughty list. What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes, the tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular styles of the hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of the hats makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be so sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact.
He was asleep.
Unless, that is, you are proposing that an even more preposterous explanation.
He was asleep.
That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
Yes, we do. He said he was asleep, but do we have anything we can say that? Nope. 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 But he said he was... he was asleep! He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilder would have been unaware of it.
Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilder, to the stand.
Well, what say you, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, we will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilt is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out that the man has been withholding information, we can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGild to testify or not? We have to testify. He's hiding something. Maybe he has an assassin that does the trick. Demand his testimony. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. He was asleep, though. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilder to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes. I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilder has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical to not hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say, oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Ting, 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 ting. Now, maybe what actually happened last night will finally become clear. He was asleep. He was underneath the thing.
Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
To be sure, I have, my lord. Alright, I'm gonna probably call it for now. I'm gonna quickly walk my dog for a little bit, I think. And, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. And resume on this probably next time. We'll see when. My voice is like dead in a little bit, so like I probably wanna relax a little bit. Save all the time then. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.